Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial, and today we've got a quick video which answers a question that we have long had. We've talked about in a couple other videos in the past, but for you guys who are newer viewers, Iowa-class battleships have two rudders. This allows them, under very special situations, to do a maneuver called closing the barn doors. A barn door stop is when the rudders do something they're not designed to do, essentially. Normally, when the helmsman up at the bridge turns the ship, both rudders turn together in the same direction. But in an absolute emergency, control for steering can be taken over from down here where we are in aft steering, which is the emergency steering position where our helm wheels are attached directly to the steering motors. And we can take over and we can turn the rudders either direction. In fact, each rudder has its own helm back here in aft steering, so we can close the barn doors, that is, bring the rudders together like this so that they are creating a tremendous amount of drag. That is perfect if the ship needs to come to a quick stop. Now, we've heard that Wisconsin did this during her trials in the 80s, and it caused enough damage that the ship suffered from leaking and loose rudders and things like that for the rest of her career. We've heard of it discussed in Battleship New Jersey's Officer of the Deck Driver's Manual as something that's possible, but we didn't know for sure if New Jersey ever did. Knowing that it happened on Wisconsin and knowing that it did that sort of damage, and then knowing that New Jersey has not had that sort of damage, really makes us think that New Jersey never did that. And so we've had some videos where we've said as much in the past, but now we've got some new evidence. So we found some footage. Some of the footage on this tape is dated April 19th, 1990. So it's very near the end of the ship's active life. She's going to do a little bit of cruising around. She goes up to Portland for the Rose Festival and otherwise starts deactivation and will be decommissioned by February of 1991. So this is very close to the end of the ship's career, but listen to this historic footage right here.
We stopped the ship at less than a ship length, which is pretty darn good. The reason we did this is to have an emergency stop capability when we're going up the river into Portland. Good job to the crew back in the after steering and also down in the main spaces. All spaces, WETSU. Take it through, come on, guys. Verify that for me, please. I could not hear a goddamn word he said.
Special CD tail for closing the barn door. Sits normal underway watch. On deck condition 4. Enlisted section 5, officer section 3.
The footage on this tape shows Battleship New Jersey doing what looks like a crashback. They're going from sailing ahead to turning everything into reverse to make the ship stop as quickly as possible. And then they're saying that they also did a barn door stop. So that was confusing. We thought that didn't happen. Fortunately, our last commanding officer, Admiral Tucker, is still with us, and we were able to reach out to him. Now, I try not to shoot him a question every single day. God knows I could. But seeing this historic footage made us wonder so much that I shot him off an email and asked if he remembers ever doing a barn door stop. And here's his response. Yes. I had somehow heard of this procedure. I'm betting that that's from the OOD's driver's manual that was on the ship in the 80s. But I had somehow heard about this procedure, and in preparation for the transit up the Columbia and Willamette rivers, I checked with NAVSEA and we practiced it in port and then tested it in the SoCal op area, Southern California. Battleship New Jersey was home ported in Long Beach, California during this time period. So her normal operating area would have been off the coast of Southern California. Columbia and Willamette rivers, that's when he's going to take the battleship up the river to Portland, Oregon. for the first time that a battleship's ever been up there. These rivers have high tides, they've got very little space for maneuverability, so it's very interesting that he's concerned about what additional ship handling procedures he can have for making that transit. Plus, I imagine the tugboats and other pilot craft that are going to be operating alongside the battleship aren't experienced with a ship of this size. Back to Admiral Tucker. That was probably in about April of 1990 timeframe. I don't recall how fast I had the ship going, maybe 5 or 10 knots, but we did an emergency back full, and I gave the order, close the barn doors. Steering control was shifted to aft steering, that's where we are today, and the rudders were individually turned inboard. It worked very effectively. I don't recall how long or how far it took to stop, but it was pretty fast. In the video, they say it was less than a ship's length. Allegedly, Wisconsin goes from full ahead to dead stop in about 600 feet, which is about 2/3 of the ship's length. So it makes sense that New Jersey going at a slower speed would have been in even less than that. Back to Admiral Tucker's words. I was pleased to have another tool in the ship handling toolbox for our trip up and down the rivers with little room for error. Very glad I never had to actually use it in an emergency. Our tests at sea would have to have been noted in the ship's deck log and quartermaster's notebook. Ronald Tucker. Now, we don't have the ship's deck logs for the 1990s. Those have not been made available yet. We've only got some for the early 80s and earlier, so we're still waiting for those to be made available so we can look at them to confirm Admiral Tucker's memories, but it seems pretty accurate to me, and it makes sense that New Jersey never had any issues. I've always thought of a barn door stop as going from full speed to dead stop, and that seems to be what Wisconsin did to cause her leaking, but only going at 5 knots or 10 knots, less than 1/3 of the ship's maximum speed, did not put nearly that much strain on the ship's rudders. So it seems like they didn't go all out for these tests, but did provide a proof of concept and give Admiral Tucker that ship handling experience for going up and down the river. And he did have to do some interesting maneuvers while he was on the river because of the tide, but he explains that more in his interview on the WETSU podcast. And we'll leave a link for that down below. That was posted a couple of weeks ago. So I consider this to be pretty conclusive proof between the original footage of this ship and Admiral Tucker's memories to corroborate that footage, that Battleship New Jersey did do a barn door stop sometime in the spring of 1990, very near the end of her career. So we now know that New Jersey did one of these stops, and it's the coolest maneuver that these ships can do. I just never thought that it was ever done on this ship. So it's really cool to confirm that. What's something else cool that you've heard about the Iowa-class battleships that you'd like to see confirmed? Between whether or not they carried Stinger missiles and whether or not they did do barn door stops, those are two of the biggest ones I've had. But let me know yours in the comment section down below, and maybe it's something we'll research in the future. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to donate to support the museum. Your support gives us the time to do this research, to learn these answers, and then put it out there publicly to you guys. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.